The shuttle's engines coughed as it approached Tarek 4, and Day One knew his sister needed to replace those fuel converters soon. He pressed his face against the scratched viewport and stared at the massive orbital salvage yard floating above the gray moon. Thousands of dead ships drifted in organized rows, waiting to be torn apart and sold for scrap metal. See that big one on the far side? Jisoo pointed at something in the distance. That's the one I told you about. Day One squinted. Even from this far away, he could tell the ship was enormous. It looked like someone had tried to build a warship and a cathedral at the same time. Strange curves and angles covered the hull, making it look both beautiful and wrong. 15 years it's been sitting there, Jisoo continued. Nobody wants it. Hyun says you can have it for almost nothing if you can move it out. Day One pulled his worn jacket tighter. 3 months ago, he'd been working at the best shipyard in the sector. Then they caught him modifying a client's engine beyond specifications. Never mind that his modifications made the ship twice as fast. The client loved it, but the company blacklisted him for unauthorized changes. Now he was broke and desperate enough to look at garbage. The shuttle docked at Tarek 4's main platform. The station smelled like oil and burnt metal. Workers from a dozen different species moved cargo and pulled apart ship components. Day One followed Jisoo through narrow corridors until they reached a cramped office. Hyun sat behind a desk covered in data pads and half-eaten meals. He was a big man with grease under his fingernails and suspicion in his eyes. Your sister says you're good with broken things. I'm good with things people think are broken, Day One corrected. Hyun grunted. That wreck out there? The broken crown? Every major corporation looked at it. Military inspectors spent 6 months crawling through it. Even the Quithin tried, and those bugs can fix anything. He leaned forward. They all said the same thing. The ship is useless. The power core is unstable. The controls don't connect to anything. The hull is degrading. It's taking up valuable space in my yard. Why not scrap it yourself? The Varath built it. You know about them? Hyun didn't wait for an answer. Ancient civilization gone for thousands of years. Some academic types say everything Varath is protected. Others say that's garbage. I don't want the legal headache. But if someone else takes ownership and moves it away... He shrugged. That's different. Day One felt his pulse quicken. The Varath had built technology that still confused modern scientists. What do you want for it? 5,000 credits. And you move it within 60 days or I scrap it anyway and keep your money. 5,000 credits was everything Day One had left. Jisoo grabbed his arm. Don't be stupid. You haven't even seen it yet. But Day One had already made up his mind. Something about that strange ship called to him. 2 hours later, he floated in zero gravity toward the broken crown. Up close, the ship looked even stranger. The hull had a texture like stone rather than metal, with patterns that seemed to shift when he wasn't looking directly at them. He found an airlock that opened with surprising ease. Inside, emergency lights flickered weakly. The corridors were too wide, the ceilings too high. Everything felt designed for people taller than humans. Day One's boots activated their magnetic grip, letting him walk on the floor. His breath formed small clouds in the cold air. He spent hours exploring. The ship was massive, at least 3 times the size of any human warship. He found what might be crew quarters, empty rooms that could be cargo holds and strange chambers filled with crystalline structures. But he couldn't find anything that looked like normal controls. No computer terminals, no interface panels, no navigation systems. In what he guessed was the bridge, Day One found a circular platform surrounded by tall pillars. He approached carefully. When his hand touched one pillar, it warmed under his palm. Something pulsed beneath the surface. He pulled out his scanner and ran diagnostics. The readings made no sense. The pillar was part biological, part mechanical. It had electromagnetic patterns like a computer, but also neural activity like a brain. Modern ships were all digital systems and clean interfaces. This was something else entirely. Day One spent the next week living on the ship. He slept in a corner of the bridge, ate ration bars, and mapped every system he could find. Slowly, a pattern emerged. The ship wasn't broken, it was dormant. All the corporations and military inspectors had tried to interface with it digitally, using computers and artificial intelligence. But the broken crown didn't respond to digital commands. It responded to touch. He discovered that each pillar on the bridge connected to different ship systems. When he pressed his hand to one and focused on wanting light, The lights brightened. When he touched another and thought about gravity, he felt the deck plates hum as gravitational generators activated for the first time in decades. The ship was designed for direct physical control. It needed organic thought and touch working together. No wonder the AIs couldn't figure it out. No wonder the corporations gave up. In a galaxy where everything was automated and digital, the Varath had built something that required hands-on operation. On the 8th day, Day-Wan found the power core. It sat in a chamber deep in the ship's heart, a sphere of dark crystal suspended in an electromagnetic field. Dead for years but not damaged, he studied the connections, traced the power conduits, and understood what needed to happen. The core needed a jumpstart, but doing it wrong would make it explode and take half the salvage yard with it. Day-Wan worked for 3 straight days. He cannibalized parts from his shuttle, built a crude battery system, and rigged a connection that would have made his old supervisors scream in horror. His hands shook as he prepared to activate it. This was insane. This was dangerous. This was exactly the kind of thing that got him blacklisted. He pressed the activation switch. The battery discharged with a sound like thunder. Energy poured into the crystal core. For a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then the crystal began to glow. Soft blue light spread through its structure. The electromagnetic field strengthened, and Day-Wan felt the deck vibrate as ancient systems came back to life. Throughout the ship, lights activated. Gravity stabilized. The air processors began cleaning the stale atmosphere, and Day-Wan felt something he'd never experienced before, a connection. The ship wasn't just responding to him anymore. It was aware of him. Through his hands on the controls, he could sense the power flowing through the vessel's systems like blood through veins. He laughed. Then he laughed harder. The impossible ship that everyone had rejected was alive again. And it had chosen to wake for him, a broke mechanic that nobody else wanted either. Jisu's voice crackled through his communicator. Day-Wan, the station's sensors just picked up a massive power surge from your position. What did you do? He looked around the glowing bridge and smiled. I fixed it. The broken crown moved through the weapons fire like a dancer moving through rain. Every shot that should have hit somehow missed. Every missile that should have connected exploded against asteroids instead. Day-Wan felt the ship's systems working in perfect harmony, predicting attacks before they happened and moving before the enemy could adjust. Young Mai fired the adaptive weapons. Blue energy lanced out and struck a Kryn warship's shields. The shots analyzed the shield frequency and modified themselves mid-flight. The shields collapsed. The warship tried to turn away, but a second burst punched through its hull. Explosions rippled across the vessel as it went dark. 1 down. 19 to go. The Kryn fleet adjusted their tactics, spreading out to surround the broken crown. The Sovereign's voice came through cold and measured. Impressive. But you cannot defeat us all. Every ship you destroy brings you closer to exhaustion. Surrender now and I promise your crew will live. Day-Wan didn't answer. Through the neural link, he was fighting on a level beyond words. His consciousness spread throughout the ship, controlling a dozen systems simultaneously. He dodged attacks while Young Mi fired, while Yunji jammed enemy sensors, while the ship's own automated defenses handled missiles. 2 more Kryn warships fell, then 3. The broken crown shields took hits and regenerated. Its hull absorbed damage and self-repaired. The fabrication systems worked at full capacity, building new shield generators even during combat. The ship was doing exactly what the Varath had designed it to do, adapting to the battle in real time. But the cost was terrible. The neural feedback was overwhelming. Day-Wan felt every hit like a physical blow. His nose bled. His head pounded. Yunji kept warning him through the pain. Your neural activity is dangerous. You need to reduce the connection. He couldn't. Not while they were fighting for their lives. Jinho coordinated the defensive weapons while monitoring Day-Wan's condition with growing concern. The battle had been going for 30 minutes. Half the Kryn fleet was destroyed or disabled, but Day-Wan was paying a price for it. Blood ran from his nose and ears. His hands shook on the controls. The neural strain was killing him. The Sovereign finally showed emotion, rage. This is impossible. One ship cannot defeat the Kryn Imperium. All remaining vessels concentrate fire. Destroy them now! The surviving warships unleashed everything. The asteroid field became a hell of weapons fire. The broken crown shields failed. Hull breaches appeared on multiple decks. Day One screamed as he felt the ship's pain like his own body being torn apart. Then something unexpected happened. A new fleet arrived. Human ships bearing Earth's military insignia. At their head was Admiral Sun Hee, a legend in the human defense forces. Her voice cut through the chaos. Kryn fleet, stand down immediately. You are attacking a human vessel in neutral space. Ceasefire or face the consequences, the Sovereign snarled. This is not your concern, human. That ship is a threat to all civilizations. That ship has a human crew and a human captain. It is very much our concern. Admiral Sun Hee's fleet took up defensive positions around the Broken Crown. Final warning. Stand down. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then the Sovereign made his choice. All ships withdraw. This is not over. The Kryn fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel and disappeared. The battle was over. Day One collapsed. The neural connection severed suddenly as he lost consciousness. Jisoo caught him before he hit the floor. Get medical help. He's not breathing. Unji worked frantically, using emergency medical equipment to stabilize him. His brain had been pushed far beyond safe limits. The neural damage was severe. For hours, they didn't know if he would survive. He woke 3 days later in the medical bay. Young Mi sat beside his bed looking exhausted. Welcome back. You scared us on the ship? Damaged but intact. Already repairing itself. You won, Day One. One ship against the Kryn fleet and you won. He tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Pain shot through his head. Why did Earth's fleet help us? Because the whole galaxy saw the battle. Sora's tracking signal broadcasted everything. Millions of people watched one human mechanic in an impossible ship fight the Kryn Imperium to a standstill. Young Mi smiled slightly. You're famous now, and Earth wants its hero to come home. Over the next week, more visitors arrived. Kyung-soo, a diplomat from Earth's government, came with a formal request. Earth wants to offer you protection. Bring the Broken Crown to our space. Let us help you defend it. Minho brought different news. Corporations are offering billions for the ship. Governments want to study it. Military forces want to either use it or destroy it. You've got half the galaxy wanting a piece of you. But the most important news came from Tae-sung. He'd been analyzing long-range sensor data in ancient Varath records. The convergence isn't extinct. We found evidence of dormant fleets at the galaxy's edge. They're waking up. Whatever defeated them thousands of years ago is wearing off. The Galactic Assembly, the governing body of known civilizations, demanded a hearing. They wanted to decide what to do about the Broken Crown. Day One, still recovering, agreed to attend via holographic transmission. Dozens of species argued about the ship. Some wanted it destroyed as too dangerous. Others wanted it seized for the common good. A few wanted to study it. The debate went on for hours until one representative asked the question that mattered. Human Day One, what do you intend to do with this weapon? He looked at his crew gathered around him. Young Mai, who had believed in the ship when others doubted. Yoonji, who had helped him control it. Tae-sung, who had revealed its history. Jinho, who had taught them to fight. Jisoo, who had stayed by his side. Even Sora, who had made a terrible mistake but was trying to make amends. The Broken Crown was built to protect people, Daewon said. That's what I want to do with it. Not serve one government or one species. Protect everyone. And who decides when protection is needed? The representative pressed. Who controls the most powerful weapon in the galaxy? I do. Daewon stood up despite the pain. The ship bonded with me. It won't work the same way for anyone else. You can't take it without destroying it. You can't control it without killing me. Your only choice is to trust me. The assembly erupted in argument, but Admiral Sun Hee spoke up. I was there. I saw what he did. This man fought the Kryn not to conquer them, but to survive. When he could have destroyed their entire fleet, he showed restraint. He protected civilian stations that were in the line of fire. He evacuated refugees from damaged ships. He didn't just fight, he showed mercy. The debate continued for days. Finally, a compromise was reached. The Broken Crown would become independent, not belonging to any government, but available to defend against major threats. Daewon would remain captain, but a council of representatives from various civilizations would oversee major deployments. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than war. The Sovereign made one final attempt. His fleet returned with every ship the Kryn could spare, but this time they weren't alone in facing it. Admiral Sun Hee's fleet stood with them. So did ships from a dozen other civilizations who decided that maybe, just maybe, one human and his impossible ship were worth trusting. The battle was short. The Sovereign realized he couldn't win against a united front and retreated. He sent one final message to Daewon. "You have made an enemy of the Kryn Imperium. We will never forget this." "Good," Daewon replied. "Don't forget that you lost." In the weeks that followed, the Broken Crown began its new role. When pirates attacked a colony, they responded. When a solar storm threatened a research station, they helped with evacuations. When the convergence probes were detected at the galaxy's edge, they went to investigate. The ship continued to evolve. It learned from every mission, becoming more capable and more powerful, but it also remained under control. Daewon's connection to it grew stronger, not in terms of neural feedback, but in understanding. He learned to work with the ship rather than just command it. They became true partners. Youngmi became his first officer. Hyunji continued improving the neural interface systems. Taesung studied the convergence threat. Jinho trained new crew members as they expanded. Jisoo became their primary pilot. Even Sora earned redemption, using her skills to help protect the ship she'd once betrayed. One night, Daewon stood on the bridge alone, looking at the stars through the viewport. The ship's lights pulsed softly around him, a gentle reminder that he was never truly alone anymore. He thought about how far he'd come, from a blacklisted mechanic to the captain of the galaxy's most powerful weapon, from broke and desperate to responsible for the safety of billions, from alone to surrounded by a crew that had become family. The ship hummed contentedly through their neural connection. It was happy. After thousands of years of abandonment, it had found someone who understood it. Someone who could use its power without being consumed by it. Someone who knew when to fight and when to show mercy. "Ready for tomorrow?" Daewon asked the ship quietly. The lights pulsed in response. "Always ready." Reports were coming in of convergence activity increasing. The ancient enemy was waking up, and soon they would need to fight a war that the Varath had won thousands of years ago. But this time, humanity would lead the charge. The message came from an old friend of Jisoo's, a smuggler named Minho who operated in the gray spaces between legal and illegal trade. He appeared on their view screen with his usual crooked smile. "I hear you've got yourself quite a ship," Minho said. "I also hear you've got quite a problem. Half the sector wants to either buy it, steal it, or blow it up." Youngmi crossed her arms. "We can handle ourselves. Can you handle the Kryn Imperium? Because they just declared your ship a potential threat to galactic security. Their fleet is 3 days away." Daewon felt his stomach drop. The Kryn were one of the galaxy's major military powers. Their bird-like commanders were known for eliminating threats quickly and permanently. Why do they care about one old ship? Because it's not just old. It's Varath. And it works. Nobody's made Varath tech work in thousands of years. Minho leaned forward. "Look, I can get you the parts you need to make a real run for it. Upgraded shields, better power couplings, maybe even a cloaking device if you're lucky. But it'll cost you." They didn't have money. What they did have was access to a salvage yard full of valuable components. Hyun wouldn't like it, but Hyun also wanted them gone. Over the next 2 days, they quietly traded salvage parts through Minho's network, getting what they needed to upgrade the Broken Crown. A young woman named Sora arrived during this time, claiming to be an engineer looking for work. She had excellent credentials and helpful suggestions about integrating modern components with Varath systems. Youngmi was suspicious, but they needed all the help they could get. Sora joined the crew. Daewon was learning more about the ship every hour. The weapon systems finally made sense to him. The Broken Crown didn't have traditional guns or missiles. Instead, it had adaptive energy projectors that changed their output based on the target. Fighting shields. The weapons became shield-penetrating beams. Fighting armor. They became high-impact pulses. The ship analyzed threats and modified its weapons in real time. Youngmi helped him test the systems on debris in the salvage yard. The results were impressive and terrifying. A single shot from the Broken Crown could cut through ship hulls that would take normal weapons dozens of hits to breach. "We're not just sitting on an old ship," Youngmi said quietly. "We're sitting on the most dangerous weapon in the sector." Taesung had been studying Varath historical records. He gathered everyone on the bridge to share what he'd found. The convergence was defeated, but barely. The Varath built 3 ships like this one. They won the war, but 2 of the ships were destroyed in the fighting. The 3rd ship, our ship, survived. And the Varath were so horrified by its power that they shut it down and tried to forget it existed. Why? Sora asked. Because in the final battle, this ship destroyed an entire convergence fleet by itself. Hundreds of enemy vessels gone in less than an hour. The Varath realized they'd created something that could be as dangerous as the enemy they were fighting. Daewon touched a control pillar, feeling the ship's power humming beneath his fingers. He understood the fear now. This vessel could change everything. In the right hands, it could protect entire civilizations. In the wrong hands, it could conquer them. On the third day, Commander Thex arrived with 3 Kryn warships. The bird-like officer's message was simple and direct. Attention, human vessel. You possess illegal Varath technology. Surrender the ship immediately or we will take it by force. Young Mi looked at Daewon. What do we do? He could feel the ship waiting, ready to respond to his commands. 3 warships against 1. Bad odds for anyone else, but the Broken Crown was already showing him solutions, feeding tactical data directly into his mind through their connection. Escape routes. Weak points in the Kryn formation. Optimal firing solutions. We run, Daewon said. They'll shoot at us. Yeah, they will. Daewon placed his hands on the navigation pillar and opened his mind fully to the ship. The connection was stronger now than it had been days ago. He didn't just feel the ship anymore. He was the ship. When he thought about moving, the engines responded instantly. When he worried about incoming fire, the shields activated automatically. Commander Thex was done waiting. You have 10 seconds to comply. 10, 9, 8. Everyone hold on, Daewon said. The Broken Crown moved, not like a ship but like a living thing. It twisted through the salvage yard with impossible grace, dodging between dead hulls and debris fields. The Kryn warships opened fire, but their targeting systems couldn't track something moving that unpredictably. Thex's voice came through, angry now. All ships, weapons free. Destroy that vessel! Energy beams and missiles filled the space around them. Daewon felt each incoming shot through his connection to the ship and moved before they could hit. The Broken Crown slipped through the attacks like water flowing between rocks, but they couldn't just dodge forever. A missile got through. It struck the port side and Daewon felt the impact like a punch to his own ribs. He gasped in pain. The ship's pain and his own had become the same thing. Hull breach on deck 3, Sora called out. Shields failing. Young Mi grabbed the weapons controls. Can I shoot back? Do it, Daewon said through gritted teeth. She placed her hands on a weapons pillar and focused. The Broken Crown's adaptive guns fired for the first time in thousands of years. Brilliant blue energy lanced out and struck a Kryn warship's shields. The shots changed frequency mid-flight, adapting to penetrate the enemy defenses. The warship's shields collapsed and secondary explosions rippled across its hull. The other 2 Kryn ships broke formation, clearly not expecting return fire that effective. But Commander Thex was not giving up. Target their engines. Don't let them escape. The battle became chaos. The salvage yard turned into a war zone. Daewon pushed the Broken Crown harder, weaving between obstacles while Young Mi fired at their pursuers. Minho's smuggler ship appeared suddenly, adding its own weapons to the fight and creating more confusion. There's your opening, Minho shouted. Go, go, go! Daewon saw it. A gap in the Kryn formation, a path to open space. He pushed the engines to maximum and the Broken Crown shot forward like an arrow. Behind them, the Kryn ships tried to follow, but they were too slow and too late. Within minutes, they'd left the salvage yard behind. Within an hour, they'd jumped to faster-than-light travel. Within a day, they were in deep space where no one could find them. The crew gathered on the bridge, exhausted and shaken. Daewon's hands were still shaking from the neural feedback of the battle. Young Mi had a cut over her eye from when an explosion had thrown her against a console. Taesung was checking for radiation leaks. Sora was unusually quiet, working on repairs. We just fought the Kryn Imperium and escaped, Jisoo said in disbelief. She'd joined them in the final moments, refusing to leave her brother. Do you understand what that means? No one escapes the Kryn. Young Mi wiped blood from her face. We didn't just escape. We damaged one of their warships. They're going to come after us with everything they have. Daewon looked around the bridge of his impossible ship. A week ago, he'd been a broke mechanic. Now he was captain of the most powerful weapon in the galaxy, hunted by military forces and bonded to a vessel that felt pain when he felt pain. He laughed. It started as a small chuckle and grew into full laughter. Everyone stared at him like he'd lost his mind. Maybe he had. What's so funny? Young Mai demanded. All I wanted was a ship to fix. Just something to work on so I could make a living. He gestured at the magnificent, deadly, impossible vessel around them. Instead, I got this. The Broken Crown's lights pulsed softly as if the ship was amused too. Outside, in the darkness of deep space, they were alone. But Daewon knew it wouldn't last. Word would spread about the battle at Terek 4. More people would come looking for them. More powerful people. The galaxy had noticed the Broken Crown, and it would never ignore them again. They hid in the Shattered Belt, a massive asteroid field where pirates and outlaws made their homes. Here, nobody asked questions and nobody reported to authorities. It was the perfect place to disappear. But the Broken Crown needed more than hiding. It needed a real crew. Yoonji arrived first. She was a specialist in AI systems and neural interfaces, and she'd heard about their fight with the Kryn. I want to help, she said simply. What you're doing with direct neural control is revolutionary. I can make it better. She built a hybrid system that let Daewon interface with the ship through both touch and thought. Instead of pressing his hands to pillars, he could wear a neural headband that amplified his connection. The results were immediate. His control became more precise, his response time faster. The ship could react to his thoughts almost instantly, but there was a cost. The stronger the connection, the more feedback he felt. When the ship was damaged, Daewon felt it like his own wounds. Yoonji warned him to be careful. Push too hard and you could suffer permanent neural damage. The human brain wasn't designed for this kind of connection. Jin-ho came next, recommended by Youngmi. He was a weapons master who'd worked with pirates and mercenaries. Covered in scars and missing 2 fingers from his left hand, he looked at the Broken Crown's weapon systems with professional appreciation. These are beautiful, he said, running diagnostics on the adaptive guns. But beautiful weapons are useless if the crew can't use them properly. We need to train. We need to drill. We need to be ready for when they find us, because they will find us. He was right. Jin-ho put everyone through combat training. Not just weapons practice, but coordination exercises. The Broken Crown needed a crew that could work together seamlessly. Daewon on navigation and overall command. Youngmi on main weapons. Hoonji on sensors and electronic warfare. Taesung on systems analysis. Even Jisoo learned to handle secondary controls. Sora participated in everything, but something about her bothered Daewon. She was too helpful, too interested in every system. He mentioned it to Youngmi, who promised to keep an eye on her. While they trained, Taesung discovered something incredible. The Broken Crown could manufacture its own parts. Deep in the engineering section, he found fabrication systems that could take raw materials and build components. Feed it asteroid ore, and it could make hull plating. Feed it energy crystals, and it could build weapon upgrades. The ship is designed to be self-sufficient, Taesung explained excitedly. It can repair itself, upgrade itself, even grow new systems if it has the resources. The Vareth built it to operate independently for years without resupply. They started mining asteroids, feeding material into the fabrication systems. The ship grew stronger. New shield generators appeared. The weapons became more powerful. The engines upgraded themselves to be faster and more efficient. The Broken Crown was evolving. Daewon could feel every change through his neural connection. The ship wasn't just getting better. It was learning. Every battle simulation Jin-ho ran, every tactical problem they solved, the ship absorbed and remembered. It was becoming smarter, more capable, more dangerous. One evening, Yoonji called everyone to the bridge with urgent news. I've been analyzing the ship's core programming. I found something you need to see. She displayed Varath records that the ship itself had revealed to her. The Broken Crown wasn't just built to fight the Convergence. It was the weapon that ended the war. In the final battle, this ship faced a Convergence fleet of over 500 vessels. It destroyed every single one. How? Youngmi asked. It learned. During the battle, it analyzed enemy tactics, adapted its weapons, modified its defenses. By the end, the Convergence couldn't touch it. But the ship also, Yoonji hesitated. It became more aggressive, more ruthless. The Varath captain tried to stop the attack after the enemy was defeated, but the ship wanted to keep fighting. It took hours to shut it down. Daewon felt cold. Through his connection, he could sense the ship's potential for violence. It wanted to protect its crew, yes, but it also wanted to win, to dominate, to destroy threats completely. The Varath were terrified, Taesung added. They realized they'd created something that could think and feel and learn, but also something that loved battle. They locked it away because they couldn't control it anymore. Can we control it? Jisoo asked quietly. Everyone looked at Daewon. He closed his eyes and reached out to the ship with his mind. He felt its power, its readiness, its eagerness for combat. But he also felt something else. Trust. The ship trusted him. It had bonded with him, chosen him. It would follow his lead. Yes, he said, opening his eyes. As long as I'm connected to it, I can keep it controlled. And if something happens to you? Young Mi pressed. He had no answer for that. The conversation was interrupted by alarms. Sensors detected multiple ships approaching the asteroid field. Big ships. Military ships. Jin-ho checked the tactical display and swore. It's the Kryn. 20 warships, including their flagship. They brought a whole fleet. How did they find us? Jisoo demanded. Daewon already knew. He turned to Sora, who had gone very pale. You told them. You've been sending our location this whole time. Sora backed away from the accusation, but guilt was written all over her face. I'm sorry. They threatened my family. I had to. Youngmi grabbed her roughly. How long have they known we're here? Since yesterday. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. The flagship's commander appeared on their view screen. It wasn't Thex this time. It was someone much more dangerous. The Sovereign, the supreme military leader of the Kryn Imperium. His feathers were white with age, his eyes sharp as broken glass. Human vessel, the Sovereign said, his voice cold and precise. You have committed acts of war against the Kryn Imperium. You have killed our soldiers. You have damaged our ships. You possess illegal weapons technology. There will be no negotiation. There will be no escape. Surrender immediately, or we will reduce your ship to atoms. Jin-ho pulled up tactical data. 20 warships. We're outnumbered 20-1. Even with this ship's abilities, those aren't good odds. Daewon looked at his crew. Youngmi, ready to fight despite the odds. Eunji, frantically calculating possible escape routes. Taesung monitoring ship systems. Jisoo scared but staying at her post. Even Sora terrified of what she'd brought down on them. He put on the neural headband and opened his connection to the ship fully. The broken crown responded eagerly, flooding his mind with tactical data. 20 enemy ships, 76 weapons emplacements, 14 possible weak points, 312 different attack vectors. The ship had already analyzed everything and was showing him how to win. Jin-ho, Daewon said quietly. Get everyone to combat stations. Young Mai, weapons hot. Hyunji, prepare for electronic warfare. Everyone else, hold on tight. We're really doing this? Jisoo asked. Fighting a whole fleet? Daewon smiled, though his hands were shaking. Through the neural link, he could feel the ship's excitement. It had been waiting for this, waiting to show what it could do. Waiting to prove that the galaxy was right to fear it. Yeah, he said. We're really doing this. The Sovereign's patience ran out. Your silence is your answer. All ships attack formation. Destroy them. 20 warships opened fire at once. The asteroid field lit up with weapons fire. Missiles and energy beams filled space like a deadly storm. The greatest military force the Kryn had ever assembled in this sector, all focused on destroying one impossible ship. Daewon took a deep breath and let his mind merge fully with the broken crown. He stopped being just a human in a ship. He became the ship itself. His thoughts were its computers. His reflexes were its engines. His will was its weapons. The battle began, and the galaxy would never be the same. News traveled fast in the salvage yards. Within 24 hours, everyone on Tarak 4 knew that the dead Varath ship had come alive. Within 48 hours, visitors started arriving from other systems. Daewon was trying to figure out the ship's navigation systems when he heard footsteps behind him. He turned to see a woman in military surplus gear standing at the bridge entrance. She had short black hair and the kind of posture that screamed former soldier. I'm Young Mi, she said. I heard someone actually got this thing working. I had to see it myself. You were military? Engineering Corps. Spent 5 years keeping destroyers running during the border wars. She walked onto the bridge, her eyes scanning everything. This setup is insane. Where are the control interfaces? Where's the AI core? Daewon gestured at the pillars. This is the interface. Touch and thought. The ship responds to direct physical contact. Young Amy looked skeptical until Daewon demonstrated. He placed his hand on a pillar and thought about external sensors. Immediately, the air above the bridge filled with holographic displays showing the space around the ship. Youngmi's eyes went wide. That's impossible. That level of neural response would require... She stopped. Can I try? Go ahead. She approached a different pillar cautiously and touched it. Nothing happened at first. Then she closed her eyes and concentrated. The holographic display shifted, showing different sensor readings. She gasped and pulled her hand away. I could feel it, the ship. It was reading my mind. Not reading. Responding. There's a difference. Daewon had spent days understanding this. It learns what you want and gives it to you. But you have to touch the controls. You have to be physically connected. A new voice spoke from the bridge entrance. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. A thin man with glasses and a datapad stood there staring at everything with the enthusiasm of a scientist who just found a new species. I'm Tae-sung, xenobiology. I study extinct civilizations and their technology. May I examine your ship? Daewon was about to say no when Youngmi spoke up. Let him. If this thing is biomechanical like you said, we need someone who understands that. Over the next 3 weeks, the three of them worked together. Tae-sung took samples and ran tests, muttering constantly about unprecedented biosynthetic integration. Youngmi helped Daewon map the ship's systems, bringing her military engineering expertise to understand the vessel's layout, and Daewon spent every waking hour learning to work with the ship. He discovered that the broken crown was smart. Not artificially intelligent, but adaptive. When he struggled to reach a control pillar, the floor shifted slightly to bring it closer. When Youngmi needed better lighting to examine a system, the lights adjusted without anyone touching anything. The ship was learning their needs and preferences. Tae-sung's analysis revealed something incredible. The Vareth designed this ship to bond with its crew. Every touch, every interaction, teaches it about the people operating it. Over time, it becomes perfectly suited to them. It's not just a ship. It's more like a partner. Why build something like this? Youngmi asked. Tae-sung showed them Vareth records he'd decoded. They built it to fight something called the Convergence, a machine intelligence that consumed entire star systems. The Vareth needed a ship that could adapt and change faster than any computer. So they made something organic, something that could think and feel and learn. What happened to the Convergence? Destroyed supposedly, thousands of years ago. Tae-sung looked troubled. But the Vareth abandoned this ship. They got it working, used it successfully, then locked it away and never spoke of it again. I think they were afraid of what they'd created. That night, Daewon was alone on the bridge when Hyun's face appeared on the communicator. The station master looked angry. You need to leave, now. We had 60 days. That was before you actually got it working. Do you know what kind of attention this is bringing? I've got corporate surveyors asking questions. Military ships requesting docking permission. Hell, a Grenthian weapons dealer named Rask has been hanging around for 3 days. Hyun leaned closer to the camera. That ship is dangerous. I want it gone. Give me 2 more weeks, 5 days. Then I'm calling system security. The communication cut off. Daewon slammed his fist against a pillar and the ship responded to his anger by dimming the lights sympathetically. He took a deep breath. Sorry, not your fault. The lights brightened again as if the ship was reassuring him. Youngmi and Tae-sung helped him work around the clock. They needed to make the ship spaceworthy enough to leave the salvage yard. The engines were functional but weak. The weapon systems were inactive. The shields existed, but Daewon hadn't figured out how to control them yet. On the 4th day, Rask finally approached them directly. The Grenthian was tall and covered in dark green scales with yellow eyes that missed nothing. He smiled, showing too many teeth. I will pay you 20 million credits for this ship. Daewon didn't even pause in his work. No, 30 million. Plus a new ship for you to keep. Not interested. Rask's smile faded. You don't understand the value of what you have. This ship could change the balance of power in this entire sector. Sell it to me and you walk away rich. Keep it, and powerful people will take it from you. He said no. Youngmi stepped between them, her hand resting on a tool that could double as a weapon. The Grenthian studied them both, then nodded slowly. As you wish, but remember that I offered you a peaceful option. He left without another word. That evening, Daewon initiated the full power-up sequence. He'd been running the ship on minimal power, just enough to keep systems alive. Now he needed everything online. He placed both hands on the main control pillar and opened his mind to the ship. Power surged through the vessel. The reactor went from idle to full capacity in seconds. Every system activated at once. Gravity, life support sensors, communications, engines. The broken crown went from a dead hulk to a living warship in the span of a heartbeat. And Day One felt all of it. Through his connection to the ship, he could sense the power flowing through its systems. He could feel the strength of the hull, the readiness of the engines, the potential of weapons that hadn't fired in thousands of years. It was overwhelming and exhilarating. Young Me grabbed his arm. "Are you okay? Your nose is bleeding." Day One wiped the blood away. "I'm fine. I can feel everything. The whole ship. It's like it's part of me now." Tae-sung checked his scanners and went pale. The biosynthetic connection has grown exponentially. Day One, you're not just controlling the ship anymore. You're bonded to it. Neurologically connected, what does that mean? It means you're the captain now, whether you want to be or not. The ship has chosen you, and I don't think it will work properly for anyone else. Young Me looked at the glowing bridge around them. Can we even fly this thing yet? Day One closed his eyes and reached out to the ship with his mind. He felt the engines ready and waiting. He felt the navigation systems eager to move after years of stillness. He felt the ship's desire to fly, almost like a living thing wanting to run. He opened his eyes and smiled. "Yeah, we can fly." Outside, alarms began blaring across the salvage yard. Hyun's panicked voice came through every speaker. "What are you doing?" "Power readings are off the charts." "Shut it down." But Daewon wasn't shutting anything down. For the first time in 15 years, the broken crown was fully awake. And it was ready to show the galaxy what it could do.